We're living through the collapse of modern romance. People are dating less, having sex less, or just not dating at all. And the effects of this, birth rates are plummeting. Childlessness is rising. There are more mothers over the age of 30 than mothers that are under the age of 30. That has never happened in history before, but now we see it in the data demographics. So people are also having kids a lot later. And society is shifting in a way that you're not ready for. Welcome to today's episode of Basani. My name is Sumi, and today we're going to talk about why romance is dying. Modern romance is going through the biggest shift it's ever gone through before. So, like always, if you want to stay on top of my videos, hit that bell notification. You can stay plugged in. If you ever want to talk to me one-on-one, there's a link for that down below as well. And let's jump into today's episode. So let's talk about the death of dating. And I'm talking large numbers. In 2022, 63% of single adults are no longer looking for relationships or even just casual dating. That is literally 2 out of 3 people that you see in society today. That's nuts. That is literally 2 out of 3 people in society that you see every single day just throwing themselves out of the game of dating, which is crazy. It gets crazier when you look at Gen Z, which is 18 to 29 at the time of this video, where a study in 2023 found that that number that we just talked about, that 63% for all single adults, goes up to 70% in that demographic. So 70% of Gen Z is no longer looking for casual relationships or dating. And that's predicted to be a little bit higher moving into 2025. Things are getting crazy. On top of that, between 2012 and 2022, that decade, there is a decline of 28% for people ages 18 to 34 in committed relationships. Now, the US is not the worst, but we're starting to get there. Japan is actually the worst with this, where over 50% of people under the age of 30 are no longer in relationships. Moral of the story is that we're seeing an international rise in people just intentionally being single. People are not lonely. They're choosing to be alone. Big difference. Now, this is where people are all going to be bummed out. There is a recession of sex. People are not having sex as much, and the rates of sex are going down. I don't know about you, but this just does not sound good. The number of sexually inactive men has nearly doubled. It used to be 19% in 2000, and now due to recent studies in 2018, we have found that it's closer to 28%. And I estimate it to be about 1 out of 3 men in 2025 based off my own research. This is not just men though, this is also women. So for women, we see a similar increase from 15% to 23% in 2018, and I would estimate it's closer to 25% in 2025. In addition to this, there is another study in 2023 that was done where it says that 1 out of 3 men under the age of 30 had not had sex in the past year. This is besides Instagram, social media, dating apps, the influx of online dating coaches. This is with everything. We're seeing a decline in sex altogether. There's a problem here. And you know what's crazy too? Even the people that are in relationships are not spared by this. The percentage of married couples that reported having sex weekly dropped from 45% to 36% in the same span. So it don't matter if you're in a relationship or not. A lot of people are choosing just not to have sex. So people don't want to date. People don't want to have sex, which means that babies are not being born, even if they're accidental. The ripple effect of all this is that birth rates are crashing, and I'm going to explain how. In 2024, the US fertility rate hit an all-time low with 1.599 births per woman. And the CDC actually releases data that says that we need to have 2.1 as a population to sustain ourselves. So no bueno. And this has been declining over time. Like in 1957, we used to have 3.7 births per woman. In 2001, it went down to 2.1, and now we're under 1.6. So a lot of women are not giving birth. A lot of women are now childless. Like back in 1976, it was about 10% of women that did not have children that were age 40 to 44. Now that particular number for that demographic is 25%. So a lot of women are just not having kids anymore, and a lot of women are childless. I know I mentioned Japan earlier, but they're the lowest when it comes to sex. And when it comes to childbirth, South Korea is actually the lowest. They desperately need people to start having kids. Their fertility rate as a country is 0.72. That is the lowest in the world. We're seeing the birth rates go down. We're seeing population expected to shrink in all of these countries. And, you know, some people would argue that that's a good thing, but I'm not necessarily so sure if it's under the CDC's requirement and recommendation to sustain ourselves as a population. I think having a lot above that can be bad, but I also think that having too little can be bad for our future generations. And our future generations now, what we see is that people don't want to date. People don't want to have sex. People don't want to have kids. And I think that kids are really essential for society because when you have kids, you care about your neighbors. You care about your schools. You care about things around you. Having children forces you to be a good person in society because you care about how people will treat your kids. Your kids are a vulnerability. Your kids are someone that you want to protect, and you want to keep a good reputation with everyone around, and you want to be less selfish, and you want to be more community-based when you have children. And now that that's going away, I'm worried about how that's going to affect society as a whole. Now, coupled with this, we're also seeing a delay in parenthood and marriage. These are the median first ages for marriage back in the day. This is the data set that I have here. We can see from 1950, it was 22.8, and now for women, it was about 20.3. And we see how it's slowly starting to go up. We can see this trend here. Now, I know that we live longer, so that could be a good thing, but at the same time, we have all this data, all this technology, all these resources to properly build a good relationship. I feel like we're more aware of things happening in dating more than ever before, and we're choosing to get married less. We're choosing to get married not only less, but later in life. Let's keep going through the data. The average age of a woman to have her first child in the US is now 27.3, where it used to be 21.4 in 1970. And you know what this really affects? Homeowners. Like, you would not think this is affecting the economy in so many ways. Like, people are not getting homes as early as they used to. Like, back in the day, people used to get homes because they got a family coming. Now, the average first-time homeowner is 36 years old, where it used to be under 30, right around 29 in 1981. We're seeing a lack of family formation really being pushed and incentivized in the US, which is scary because families are what hold communities together. So why did this all happen? Why is this occurring today? And, you know, I've looked through the data, I've researched stuff, I've kind of analyzed everything. And from my experience and from what I've seen and from what the research indicates, it's a lot of confounding variables, and I'm going to explain them right now. The biggest thing I would say is actually technology. The robots are about to take over. Like, let's be real. And they can kind of create themselves, so they don't even need to reproduce while we need to reproduce. This might be a conspiracy theory for some of you guys, but I'm being serious. Like, we are not going in the right direction. Technology has basically replaced intimacy. Think about it for a second. Social media has basically replaced the nightclub. The only way that you could meet people back in the day was to go out and meet people in person. But now we have dating apps that are very particular, that you can literally meet someone of a specific culture, a specific race, a specific age group, a specific income level. Like, I mean, we could just keep going on. There are so many dating apps for every single niche and demographic that it is very easy to find someone of your culture that is looking to get married. On top of that, social media is the #1 dating app of all time. It is so easy to meet people online through social media. It's basically just a way to watch people and stalk people because people post every single aspect of their life. I know I do. And so if you want to stay in touch with me, sometimes just watching my social media is going to give you a more accurate representation of me telling you what I'm doing. Instead, I could just show you by showing you all the stories that I have on a day-to-day basis. So it's basically like a nightclub, but it's also like a social club, which is ideally what the point was. And you might think that people are still out and about, but people are just really on their phone. The average Gen Z adult spends 7 hours a day on their phone. Yes, 7 hours a day locked into a mobile device. This is our life now. Your cell phone is your life. And between you and me, club culture is dying. And I get it. People used to dance at the club. People used to meet each other and talk to each other. But now that we have cell phones, everyone's just recording stuff. Bottle comes out, people are just filming and recording. They're not even looking at what's going on. They're not even present in the moment, feeling the music, feeling the energy, feeling the conversations, feeling just the people around them. They're just on their phones, vlogging, documenting, texting people that are not there. Where are you? When are you going to be here? And not really enjoying the moment. Me personally, I get it. I prefer quiet luxury fitness clubs. I prefer the run club over a nightclub. And one thing that I will say that's good from this is that Gen Z is drinking a lot less alcohol than the previous generations. People are not drinking as much. This is the one positive I see from everything, and I'll give you some numbers here. In 2024, the per capita consumption of alcohol dropped 3%, which marks a 10% decline since 2021. These are the lowest levels since 1962. Sales volume in the US fell 2.8% in the first 7 months of 2024. I think beer was down 3.5%, spirits were down 3%, and wine was down 4%. According to the data, adults 18 to 34 who actually drink alcohol dropped from 72% to 62%, which is a full 10-point drop. And this is all data that's occurring because people are just not going out to bars. People are just not going out to clubs. People are not going to meet one another and let's go grab a drink. Like, that's just not happening anymore. And here's where I'm going to explain the psychology behind everything that's going on. Dating is hard. Dating is difficult, and we want to feel like we have control of our dating lives, and social media does just that. It gives us the illusion of control. We can filter and curate and message and block and swipe up and really know every single action we're taking towards people. It's all calculated. It's all measured, and we have time to reply and tell them things and even send a video. Everything is not in real time. Everything is like a chess game. You can literally create your own feed and your own social media profile to whatever you want. You can post that you got Ferraris. You can post that you're on jets, or you can post that you like Republicans and you're really Democratic. Like, it could be anything that you want. There is no rejection, because the moment that someone says no to you, you can just ignore it. You don't even have to look. There are no awkward moments where you go up to someone and you ask them out and they reject you in front of all their friends. You're just one-on-one to them. Yeah, it might make it to the group chat, but you won't even know. You won't even see it. And you can then say, hey, that's AI. That's not even real. There is no effort anymore. And dating has become a follow, a swipe up on a story, a swipe right on an app. Dating has become a lot different. And technology has replaced direct communication, which is on a database level, a biological level, and a physical level, much better. People interact with each other because they're around one another. And from what I've seen, the more time you spend physically around someone, the more you start to like them. But when you're looking at social media, you can really just turn off to people because there's just an abundance and illusion of options. So the urgency to talk to someone is not as high. Not to mention adult content, which can make you feel good and decrease your entire drive to go and message somebody. Back in the day, you had to kind of get a magazine under your parents' bed and sneak it off into the bathroom. Now you can literally go online and just go search up whatever you want, or you can even use AI to create it. It is that advanced now. So why date when you can just have an internet girlfriend? We don't need to message her. There's tons of people just like her in the city. We can follow other girls and follow other guys. And more than anything, why would I like this person when I can critique every single thing about them? Whereas in person, you're almost forced to like somebody because you're around them. You're forced to see the positives of them. And you're more likely to feel someone's energy and vibe and connect with them in person, which doesn't really happen online. So the actual intensity decreases. And sometimes it can be filled with performative people and fake vibes. But at the end of the day, it does help us connect. Phones, on the other hand, are safe and validating. And we can literally date in our sweatpants, baby. I can be in bed, no cologne, no deodorant. If you're a girl, no makeup on, and just be swiping and scrolling like you're an online version of yourself. But what I will say is the results are not the same. And the last thing I want you to really take away from this are the economics of loneliness. Bank of America did a fire survey in 2025, and they found out that 54% of Gen Zers spend $0 a month on dating. Not good for dating coaches like myself, huh? People just don't care about dating anymore. And I don't always think it's just because people don't want to date. I also think that it's expensive. The financial strain is very high when it comes to dating. 1 in 3 people are reporting that it's money, and it's mostly men reporting that they're in debt, that they just don't have enough expendable income. They're saying they're being affected by inflation, and they have a lot of job insecurity, which is why they don't want to jump into a relationship because they know it can lead to a potential family, which would put a lot of financial strain on them, and they're just not ready for that commitment right now. You need a house to raise a family, and when you look at that too, housing ownership under 35 is the lowest it's ever been since 1982. And most Americans are now saying that they're just not prepared to raise a child because it's just financially too intensive. They're not in a mindset where they believe that they can have a family. So in conclusion, we're not seeing the death of dating. We're seeing the reversal, the unwinding of a culture. The opinions are in, and they're saying that sex is optional and dating is exhausting. Clubs are out and phones are in. And for the first time ever in American history, the idea of sex, love, romance, family, parenthood, marriage, commitment, chemistry is now on life support. For me, this isn't even about loneliness. It's really about legacy. And the real question is, will the next generation even want one?